Literally his best friend, probably. Mikey was probably his best friend.
Listen to what Erika says here about Mikey McCoy. She doesn't mean to expose him or Turning Point USA, but she does.
Of course, Pastor Rob McCoy's son, his name is Mike McCoy, and you're going to see what he does, not in the seconds following Charlie getting shot, but in less than 1 second after Charlie gets shot. These are not seconds, less than 1 second. You're going to watch what Michael McCoy does. First, let's hear his daddy's version of the events. Take it away, Pastor McCoy.
As a father, I want to protect my son. And I thought, I got a plan for you, son. He said, Dad, that's not Charlie's plan. And you know what? I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and Mikey's the Chief of Staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray. I said, okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him. And
two things I want you to remember here. You may have caught that, but he said, I was watching. And the minute Charlie got shot, he called, and Mikey McCoy says to his dad, Charlie's been shot, pray for him. He says the minute, maybe he's being a little hyperbolic. We're going to find out. I'd certainly like to find out. But he stops himself. He says, I was watching what?
The moment Mikey McCoy's wife dropped those leaks, everything flipped upside down. What looked like a heartbreaking tragedy suddenly felt rehearsed, controlled, and suspiciously coordinated, like someone was working overtime to bury details that were never meant to surface. And the deeper you dig, the uglier it gets, because nothing in this story matches. Not the footage, not the timeline, not the reactions, and definitely not the silence from the people who should be shouting the truth from the rooftops. But here's the spark that lit the whole fire. Mikey's wife didn't just tease drama, she cracked the door wide open and let the entire storm in. Screenshots, voice notes, timestamps, all pointing in the same uncomfortable direction. Meanwhile, Erika Kirk is reportedly doing everything she can to slam that door shut again. And when someone tries to silence the only person speaking, that's when you know the real story is hiding behind the curtain. Online, people are calling it an inside setup. Others say the footage itself exposes something far bigger than anyone wants to admit. And when you compare what Erika said on national television to what TPUSA was saying behind closed doors, it's obvious. Someone is lying boldly. So let's break it down: the footage, the contradictions, the leaks, and the wife who suddenly vanished.
Mikey McCoy. She doesn't mean to expose him or Turning Point USA, but she does. Watch, and then I'll show you.
Did you find out Charlie had been shot?
I was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I had my phone and I see the video come in with him flinging out the hats. And I said, Mom, look, it started. So we saw the hats being flung. I put my phone down and it was on silent, so I had no reason to look back at it. And I moved my mom. I went back to grab my phone, and that's when Mikey started calling me. Called me within seconds.
I called Erika. I just remember it rang like 3 or 4 times. I didn't know what to say. Those are the words that will change someone's life forever, and you have to be the one to say it. That was the first time I've ever called her during a campus tour stop.
And so Mikey called me, and I'll never forget. And just being like, Charlie's been shot. He's been shot. Get the kids. Get security. Get the kids. Get the kids. He's been shot. I sprinted out of her treatment center. Just collapsed in the middle of the parking lot. Called our security. Yeah. Unbelievable nightmare.
So according to Erika, Mikey called her within seconds. If you might remember, that Mikey McCoy has been under a lot of fire for how he reacted less than 1 second after Charlie was shot. He put his phone, or his hand, to his ears, looks like his phone, and began walking away. People were highly suspicious of this, and we were told by Turning Point USA, executive producer of The Charlie Kirk Show, Andrew Colvette, that Mikey did not make a phone call here. He, in fact, put his hands up over his ears because the shot was very loud. Remember this.
Last thing, because this is part of the video allegations here, is that they're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not. He was taking social videos, which he would send to our group chat, which we would then put on Charlie's social while the event was happening, so you could see like the crowd come in or his interaction. And we were only 2 questions into this event, so he was still getting it out to all the chats he needed to do, which he did at every event. He turns around, and it was so blaringly loud, I'm told. You would know this better than this is what I'm told. It was so blaringly loud, and he was so shell-shocked, he put his fingers in his ear, but his phone was still in his hand. He walks away.
Blake Neff, who's also on this Charlie Kirk show from Turning Point USA, who was right next to Mikey McCoy when the shot rang out, also explained that Mikey McCoy and him separated. It was not until they reconvened after the fact, when he encountered Mikey with his lip quivering, that the phone call was then made to Erika and then to his father, Rob McCoy. Candace Owens came out straight up yesterday and said that this was an inside job. People are suspicious because of inconsistencies.
Because every sign in this entire situation points to something much bigger lurking backstage. And once you see what Mikey's wife revealed, you won't look at any of these people the same again. The first red flag wasn't a leak or a rumor. It was that video. You know the one. The moment the gunshot goes off, everyone else jumps, flinches, ducks, screams. But Mikey? He does none of that. There's no shock, no panic, not even hesitation. He just lifts his phone straight to his ear like he'd been waiting for that exact second. No dialing, no swiping, no looking at the screen. Nothing. It's like muscle memory for something nobody should have muscle memory for. And the way he walks off? Calm, slow, almost bored. Phone to his ear, head turned away, while Charlie is being rushed into a van behind him. People around him are panicking, crying, running, screaming, and Mikey is strolling off like a meeting just wrapped up early. Then came the zoomed-in clip, the one that sent the internet into chaos. If you look closely, he's not even pressing anything. His arms are crossed. The phone is already at his ear before he reacts to anything around him. Candace Owens broke it down and measured it. The time between the gunshot and the phone at his ear was 834 milliseconds.
Rob McCoy's son, his name is Mike McCoy, and you're going to see what he does not in the seconds following Charlie getting shot, but in less than 1 second after Charlie gets shot. These are not seconds, less than 1 second. You're going to watch what Michael McCoy does. First, let's hear his daddy's version of the events. Take it away, Pastor McCoy.
As a father, I want to protect my son. And I thought, I got a plan for you, son. He said, Dad, that's not Charlie's plan. And you know what? I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray. I said, okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him. And
two things I want you to remember here. You may have caught that, but he said, I was watching. And the minute Charlie got shot, he called, and Mikey McCoy says to his dad, Charlie's been shot, pray for him. He says the minute, maybe he's being a little hyperbolic. We're going to find out. I'd certainly like to find out. But he stops himself. He says, I was watching. Watching what exactly? What were you watching? I remember that. It's rubbing me the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you why that's rubbing me the wrong way in a little bit. But the bigger thing is that he says Mikey had blood all over him. Except Mikey did not have blood anywhere near him because Mikey was behind the tent when Charlie got shot. And Mikey, in less than a second, does something that I find to be quite strange. He puts his phone to his ear and he begins a conversation. So we're going to watch that clip in its entirety. Mark is going to bring it in. So we decided to slow this clip down, and we're going to watch this clip slow down so you can see that it is exactly 834 milliseconds from the time that you hear the shot. That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing. Mikey didn't have time to dial, okay? You can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 0.834 seconds. The next time that you're going to see Mikey McCoy, as we just showed you, is in just under 2.5 seconds on the other side of the tent. he's on a phone call. So we can track Mikey, but let's watch the clip again in milliseconds so you really grasp how quickly this transpires. So when this clip was brought, here we go, we're tracking that. Yeah, when the clip was brought to my attention, I obviously have a file, a big folder of files of every angle, and I decided to track Mikey from every angle available to see, like, maybe we just missed it, and he did at some point put that phone down, dial a number, speed dial, hold down one, I don't know. Maybe we missed it, because that seems automatic, right? 0.834, that seems pretty quick. And no, he doesn't do that. We even have him in front of Charlie's car. When Charlie is brought to the car, the waiting car rather, he is still on the phone. And I can show you the clip of that. Take a look at this. Don't worry, we'll slow it down for you. See him in the background with the backpack. Mikey McCoy. Okay. So what are we to make of that? The only logical conclusion that I can come up with, and many others, because I pressed, I said, play devil's advocate. I want you to advocate for Mikey McCoy. I want you to play lawyer, and you are representing your client, Mikey McCoy. What was he do? How did he do it this quickly? No one could win this game. The only logical conclusion we come up with was that Mikey was already on a phone call at 12:23 p.m. By 12:23 p.m. He was already on a phone call. So I said, let's go back a little earlier in the footage and see if we can find when he actually maybe dials onto the phone. Maybe we can see him pick up the phone and begin a call before the shot takes off. And then after beginning that call, if we're following this logic, that would mean he puts his phone down until Charlie gets shot. And we were able to find what we think could be that moment. And I can tell you that it is 1 minute and 45 seconds approximately before that shot goes off, and we can watch that here. You see Mikey's on his phone here, and you're going to see he pulls it up, and he starts to cover his ear again. Now, that could be unrelated. Again, we're taking a guess here. That's what made the most sense to us because we couldn't justify it in any other way. And I want to be clear, we're not here to make assumptions, okay? And we wouldn't have to make any assumptions if Turning Point USA could just tell the truth. They could just be open and they could be honest about everything. Okay, I obviously went out to both Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colbert for a statement, asked those two questions. Hey, who were you on the phone with? What's going on here? No response. Weird. Because if that was me and I saw clips going viral and people were drawing conclusions from that clip, thinking that I was already on the phone, thinking that my reaction was weird, I would instantly hit back. I'd say, here's my call log. You want to know who I was on the phone with? 911, obviously. I was freaking out. I called 911. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's my phone. Here's my whole call log for that day. But this is, I don't know. I guess we live in a world where that doesn't make sense. I would have issued a statement to dispel any rumors, but they have not. Here's what I want to say, and I honestly, I understand I'm preaching to the choir here. Everything about this is wrong. You know it, and I know it. But I actually know it better than most because I helped build that organization, and that's why I am almost the perfect person to discern what is normal and what is abnormal in terms of what happened at that college campus event. In fact, when I did my tribute to Charlie, this is unbelievable.